Thank you very much. This workshop, Connecting to Life, is presented by the CA-HOLLAND 2017 Convention Committee. The views and opinions expressed in this workshop are from the workshop facilitator and those participating in this discussion. They do not necessarily reflect the policies or position of CA-HOLLAND or or Cocaine Anonymous World Services. Please join me in welcoming our workshop facilitators, Esther and Anthony.
Hello, I am Esther. I am a recovering addict. Hi.
And my name is Anthony and I'm a recovering addict.
My sobriety date is March the 3rd, 1988, and for that I am truly grateful.
My sobriety date is November, 8 years ago.
Boy, you need to know the date. All right. Okay, so I am excited to be all the way here from Texas, and I hope you can understand me because I don't understand y'all. No. No, seriously. I hope that you understand what I'm saying. I really am excited about this workshop and what was given to me as I prepared to come here to give you this, what God has given me. And I really hope that it blesses you. So before I get started in what I have here for you, I want to tell you that since I've been here, my venture to Amsterdam has been truly interesting. So I started tracking of things that I lost as I traveled here. And so the first thing I lost, which was my favorite pair of glasses, and they were really to see. These, I had a second pair because I'm that kind of girl, I'm proactive. But these pair is really for a computer. So when I look at the computer, I can see better. So it really is not for reading. So if I mess up, you'll know why. Second, I went shopping yesterday and I was walking around looking at all the pretty stuff and went in this one store and I saw this shirt and I wanted it and I had no euros. So they took no US money and they couldn't take my card. And I was like, God, okay. So I asked the lady to hold it for me. I would come back. And so I thought, well, I don't really have to come back. So I kept thinking about the shirt. And so I said, well, I'll go back. So I tell Nick, I said, Nick, I have no euros. Can you go with me to the store to buy this shirt? And I give it back to you. He said, fine. So we get there and she said, I have something for you. And I said, what? Your passport.
Wow.
I was like, damn, I'm trying to move. She's like, no, you're trying to stay here, aren't you? I said, I guess I am, huh? Because I'm not going home without that passport. So needless to say, that God blessed me to get my passport back and the shirt. So I'm glad to be sitting here with my passport and my shirt. So I just thought it was funny. Something to break the ice with. Okay, I know that had nothing to do with connecting to life, right? Okay. All right, so here it is. What we want to talk about is connecting to life. And the theme of this amazing convention is just that, connecting to life. So my thoughts were, what was the committee thinking when they made the decision that this should be the theme? I am a person who likes to know the meaning of words because I have in the past glossed over a word and considered that I knew what it meant, when in fact I really didn't know what it meant at all. And so I looked up the word connecting, and what I came up with, it says, bring together or into contact so that a real or notional link is established. Join together to provide access and communication. Linked to a power or water supply. Well, I really like the last part of the definition where it says linked to a power. The definition of the word connecting has so much meaning. Without it, life as we know it would not look the way it looks, or even if it would exist at all. Connection is needed in everything we do. But yet, we as addicts and alcoholics tend to isolate in order to disconnect. Have you ever asked yourself why you do that? One of the things or why we do that, one of the things we want to do today is to really encourage you that no matter where you have been in life, no matter what you have done or what it looked like, remember you have been, and remember where you have been and what it looked like is part of your journey. Where you have been and what it looked like is part of your journey. Each part of it had to be in order for you and for all of us to be here today. And so I believe that of what it says in the big book, that nothing, absolutely nothing happens in God's world by mistake. Since I believe God knows the plans he has for us, then I don't need to be surprised at what he has allowed to take place. It has to have purpose. I wrote a book and it's entitled, What's Under Your Rug? And I have to admit, I did not purposely write the book. That was not my intention. As a matter of fact, I really didn't believe I was supposed to write a book, nor did I believe I could. I didn't think I was a book writing kind of person. What I really thought was I wasn't smart enough. And who would want to read something written by me? Who do I think I am? And that I thought I should write a book. Well, I am God's child. I am God's girl, right? And he had a plan the whole time. And so he allowed me to write this book. And so since God gave me the title first, I wondered what should I write about regarding this book, and I didn't believe I was supposed to write. And so the first thing that came to mind was, what is the purpose of a rug? Because the name of the book he gave me was, What's Under Your Rug? And so I did some research, and the purpose for the rug were to decorate homes. The purpose for the rug, they were used for protection of furniture sliding, or even individuals sliding on a floor. They were also used to reduce sound when walking and create warmth when it was cold. I believe that a time came when people got tired of moving those rugs when cleaning, and it became a place where dirt and dust was swept under the rug because people were tired of carrying those heavy ass rugs to shake out the dust or the dirt. This is what we do with our lives. We experience things that bring us pain, and we attempt to pretend that they did not affect us. I have been guilty, of saying, well, I guess I need to put on my big girl panties and allow whatever is happening to me to just happen and move on. Just forget about it. Experience it, it's gone. And so I move on to what though? To ignoring, denial, to another slice of cake, to sexual encounters, to a shopping excursion, to a new pair of shoes, to gossiping about someone else so I don't have to look at me. Let's see, to move on to a glass of wine, to a sleeping pill, to pulling down the shades and balling up in a fetal position, crying ourselves to sleep, right? Maybe you are a person who is always busy working or doing things that reflecting is not part of your day. I think that sometimes we find things outside of ourselves to cover up those things that pains us, and we tend to ignore it. So I'm sure there are a lot of things that I could name, but I wanted to make sure that you got a good picture on how most people, including myself, deal with issues that appear in our lives and choose to disconnect because connecting hurts too bad. The promises begin with, if we are painstaking about this phase of our development, we will be amazed before we are halfway through. So my first question to you today is, was there a time in your sobriety when you felt painstaken about your development where you have been reckless with your life? And before you answer that, I want to give you a definition of what painstaking is. Painstaking, and so listen, I want you to think carefully because you are going to interact with us. So if you think you're just gonna sit here and listen, that's not what we came to do.
No.
No. And if you don't get up, my finger points really well. And so I'll just point out somebody. And maybe you'll have something to say. I hope so. All right. So here's the definition for painstaking. Painstaking, careful, meticulous, conscientious, all describe persons or behavior demonstrating attention to detail and effective task performance. Painstaking stresses diligent and attention to detail in achieving desired objective. So it said careful. Careful, the most general sense of these words, implies serious intent to perform well and accurately whatever task one has in hand. Meticulous suggests extreme attention to details, especially the most minute, coupled with an almost obsessive desire to avoid error. Conscientious means stresses scrupulous effort to obey one's sense of moral obligation to perform tasks well. Isn't this what we do when we work each step of our program? We begin diligent, careful, meticulous, conscientious, paying attention to detail of our behavior can cause pain. So what do you do with the pain? Did you connect or disconnect? So I'd like someone to talk about where a time in your sobriety where you felt painstaken about your phase of your development when you looked at your recklessness you performed in your life. Did you connect or disconnect?
Ian Alex.
Hi.
I came into the program through a hospital.
Is the mic working? You want to go to the mic?
Yeah, okay.
So they can get it on.
That's your foot, sorry. Ian Addict. I came into the program via the hospital. I was removed from society for 7.5 months. I'd completely lost it. I was living under a bridge and all this, that, and the other. And for the first time in my life, I came into contact with recovered alcoholics, recovered addicts, and such like. This is one of the great benefits of this particular hospital I was in. It wasn't run by psychologists and shrinks and things, people that had read a book about addiction, but they didn't really know anything about it. They read a book about swimming, but they couldn't swim themselves. And I started to listen to these people. And there's one particular guy, he was a Vietnam vet, and we clicked because I'm an ex-military something, so was he. We were both addicts, and I've got goosebumps, Kipper felt. And he, everything he said to me, it was like hitting the nail on the head, So I stuck to this guy like glue. I listened to every word because he got what I wanted. And we were talking one day and I said to him, how do I find out what's wrong? I'd done steps 1, 2, and 3, And I said, how do I find out what's wrong? He says, step 4, step 5. So I said, okay. And I went and did what he said. And I started to do a step 4, and I looked and I listed resentments. I thought, well, I'm not resentful. Everybody else was calling me Mr. Angry behind my back, But I didn't realize that irritation is anger. I thought anger was beating somebody to death with a chair leg. No, that's uncontrollable rage, Ian. But irritation is anger, which I had no conception of, And so he said to me, how about your mother? Bitch. Anyway, so I realized that I hated this woman with a vengeance. And from then on, it was like a stone rolling downhill. Resentments. And I moved bit by bit. I did all the columns. And at the end column, And don't forget, I'm this ex-military something, you know. Rambo's a wuss. I'm not. I'm the real deal. And I found out that my life revolved on fear. Everything. Fear of not fitting in, fear of not being good enough, fear of other people's opinions, fear of the ladies. I couldn't go talk to the ladies without a drink or something up my nose, you know. And strangely enough, because I was surrounded by all these people that had been where I was, all this love and knowledge and experience, I trusted them completely. I trusted the program completely. I trusted the people that wrote the book completely. They'd found a positive solution to addiction, you know, alcoholism. And they'd taken the time and effort to write it down. So that if people like me and you wanted what they got, we could do exactly what they did in order to get what they got. And I trusted it completely. The first time I've ever trusted anything apart from my weapon, you know? And I felt comfortable knowing that my life ran on fear, which came as a bit of a shock.
Yeah.
Because once I knew what it was, I could deal with it. I could ask, I could search, I could dig deep. And I didn't mind what I was discovering because it was clearing a path. It was knocking walls down. It was opening doors. I wouldn't say I was enlightened or anything, but it was walking out into the sunlight, really, because I was finding out what had been causing. I had to get down to causes and conditions.
Yes.
And there it was right there looking at me. And I welcomed it. I loved it. I didn't mind it one little bit. And I'm still doing it today. That's 13 years after, you know. It's a continuous thing and I welcome it. I don't mind it one little bit. There's no shame, there's no sorrow, there's no regret, no nothing. All it is, it's a fact-finding and a fact-facing mission. That's all it is, and I'm doing it constantly. Right, okay, thanks, I'm done.
Thanks very much, Ian. It was lovely listening to you. Like what you were explaining there and what you were talking about there, and what was read out at the start, when we got the name of the convention, Connecting to Life, like when I first heard that, I started to think about how disconnected I actually was in active addiction. You know, a little bit about my own self, that I grew up in alcoholism. My father was an alcoholic. By the time I was 12 or 13, I was I was nearly gone by that stage already. Like, by the time I was 16, I was already in prison. So I was really disconnected. Over the last few days, I've been thinking about how disconnected I was and about coming into recovery, and like what you're talking about, the people who read the book. And for the first time, when I come into recovery and I come into rooms and I was surrounded by men like yourself, I felt connected. And even reading the book, and when the book was being read out to me, I felt the connection to the people who actually read this book, who put this stuff down. And what I was thinking about was how lost they were. And that's all they wanted to do. They wanted to be beacons to bring people in from being disconnected, you know, and that's what we're here to do today. This is what we're here to talk about today, is connecting to the book, connecting to God, connecting to myself. It wasn't until I was able to write down all them fears and resentments and all the stuff that was going on that I was able to clear all the stuff out of the way and actually connect to Anthony, connect to another human being, connect to another man. For the first time in my life, I was able to say, I'm afraid. I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't know what's going on. Life is so hard. And he was able to say, me too. This is what you do. This is the way. This is the way it has been since they read the book in the 30s. This is the way it is today. And 100 years after I'm gone from here, it will still be the way, you know. So thanks very much for sharing.
Yes, thank you. I have some more questions. So I'm really grateful you talked about the connection as well, because what I wrote was, if we are connected, if we're connected, the promise we are to receive is a new freedom and a new happiness. If we are disconnected, we then receive the opposite, regretting the past and wishing to shut the door on it. We will not comprehend the word serenity, nor will we know peace. Why? Because we did not allow our lessons from our past to connect to us in a new way of living. See, the thought we need to consider is the opposite of what we have been trying to do for most of our lives, and that is when you are living connected to life, and you or I cannot control the outcome of any situation. So when we're living connected to life, we have no control of the outcome of a situation. But in our addiction, we always tried to control the outcome of every situation. And so here we are connecting to life, not being able to control it, whether good, bad, or indifferent. So if we cannot connect to life, the promises states, no matter how far down the scale we have gone, if we can connect to life, no matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will know how our experience can benefit others. In addiction, we didn't care how our experiences benefit others. Give me a hit and move on, right? Matter of fact, I'm gonna smoke it all and you go get what you get. Or I'm gonna snort it all and you wanted some? Oh, I'm sorry. Or I bring a 6-pack of beer and I drink 5 and you get 1, maybe.
Yeah.
Right? And then I make you pay for half of the beer that I bought. It was never about helping someone else along the way. It was always about what I wanted and what I needed. So, have you become free to live? And what do you believe is the key to connecting to life? Or are you still living in the feelings of uselessness and self-pity? Are still living in the selfish things, which is supposed to slip away? Or are you seeking interest in our fellows? So the question is, have you become free to live? And what do you believe is the key to connecting to life? Do I need to point at somebody? Or are you gonna volunteer? There you go. Thank you.
Hey, Dave.
Based on what you said about connection, I believe the key to life is me sharing with you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's what my sponsor got me to see in the early days was that when I used to say, oh, I've got to go and do a chair here, and I'm shitting myself, oh God, you know what I mean? What am I going to say? What am I going to do? You know what I mean? And he goes, just speak your truth. And then what happens when you speak your truth is the God in me will connect with the God in you. So that's how I see it as you're talking about, yeah?
That's good. That's good. Thank you.
Thanks very much. One of the main keys in connecting to life came to me through the 3rd step, and I had a good sponsor. And when I got down and I took the 3rd step prayer, and every time I take the 3rd step prayer with him from then on, and if I rang him giving out or I text him giving out, he would send me the same thing. In the middle of the 3rd step, I would say, relieve me of the bondage of self. It doesn't say relieve me of the bondage of drink. It doesn't say relieve me of the bondage of drugs. It says relieve me of the bondage of self. Like, I drink my 5 cans, drink your, let you have your 1, and then we go to work on your 6-pack. And because always, the disconnection always came and comes now, even now, when the disease will try and attack me with self. You'll say something to me, and the first thing I will think about, how does that affect me? What about me? And it was only by going through that and seeing how selfish and self-centered that I was able to pray, because I have no power to remove that than anything else. I was able to pray and bring God into that area of my life and try to become unselfish through a godly way of life, through walking the steps, through self-sacrifice and walking with others, So thanks very much for sharing.
Yes, thank you. Is there anyone else who wants to talk about their connection to life? Yes. Hi, Derek.
My whole life before I was addicted, I even know what drugs was, I was already disconnected from life. From a young age, I'm from a Christian family. I didn't like it when I was young. I was bullied. I didn't know how to fit in. And when I was the age of 12, I thought that needs to be stopped. And I'm gonna try to fit in everywhere so nobody bullied me. And I have friends. And I always look for connection in the wrong places, like soccer violence, drugs, motor gangs, all that kind of people. I thought that is like a family and I want to be part of that. But when I discovered CA, I found a new family and home, a place to connect. And when I let myself, I relieve myself from my anger and my fears, most of all, because I didn't use drugs because I like it. I used drugs because I didn't know how to handle life. And now I'm connected with myself. I'm in ease with myself and in peace with myself. And that's what I really love. And that's what connection means for me.
Yes.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Or
No, go ahead.
okay, anyone else? Your connection to life. Okay, we're gonna move on. I would point, but I have another question. Okay, so one of the things that I thought was a prime key to connecting is surrender plus willingness. Because until I surrendered and become willing to do something about this, I wasn't connecting to anything. And I don't want to share too much because I am speaking tonight, so I'm trying really hard. It's killing me too, boy, I tell you. Because I really want to say some stuff, but I know I don't want to have you have to hear me again saying the same shit. So surrendering is something each of us in this room know all about. I sometimes believe that many of us tend to forget that surrendering for us is not a one-time thing. We surrender many times on many levels in our journey. However, the one thing that hurt us is that we may surrender, but we don't have the willingness to accept what comes with surrendering, which then keeps us from connecting to life. Even in a small way. Example, I may surrender to not drinking or using. However, there is so much I have to do for a total surrender to occur. If I just stop drinking and stop using, does that change my behavior and thinking? No. With or without drugs and alcohol, situations in my lives create what we think, and what we think creates what we feel, and what we feel creates what we do. We haven't even drank. Situations create what I think creates what I feel creates what I do. In the do is where the alcohol and drugs come into play. So even though I stop drinking and I stop using, situations create what I think. They create what I feel. And then my feelings create what I do. So if I'm not drinking and using, and that's all I do is stop drinking and using, the behavior is still in existence. And I'm still not connected to life. So, I don't know why all of a sudden I'm sorry. There's so much that we have to do to connect to this life that we surrender to. We surrender, but many of us think that just stop drinking and stop using is enough. And in my 29 years of being sober, I realized that there's so much more to this. To just stop drinking and to just stop using is not enough. So if I just stop drinking, nothing changes really. If I stop doing cocaine and stop doing heroin and stop hitting speed and stop doing all the stuff that I've done, Nothing changes. I'm still that person. When I got sober, they used to say, when you get sober, when you were drinking and using, you were a horse thief. And so then when you get sober, you still a horse thief. You just ain't drunk.
Yeah.
Or you're not high, right? And so what do we do to change being a horse thief? We have to do something if we want to connect to life. So one of the things that we must do is accept and live in reality. Are you relying on self, or have you connected to a power greater than yourself? The word is power. Again, in the first definition of painstaking, you had to have power. So when we talk about it in the big book, in the doctor's opinion, it is repeated over and over in the first sentence, in the first paragraph. It says, it talks about our defining moments. So, I'm sorry. What are your defining moments? What are your defining moments that is keeping you from connecting to life? Is there someone sitting here today that can tell me, what do you believe is a defining moment for you that has kept you from connecting to life? Yes.
Hello, my name is Twaam Eidek.
Hey,
I'm also a little bit.
that's okay.
For me, it was God, and because I'm from family with really tough religion, and that was very hard for me because I didn't understand to believe in God, and I was maybe I think 15, 16 years old, and I thought that God didn't exist. And that's what when I started to drink also, and I blamed God really for my problems and everything that's happening in my life. And now I am almost 17 months clean, sober, and every day I really, really believe in Him because He shows me things that I never understand it, but I understand it now. So that's why I'm also a little bit emotional now, because I really can say now, yes, I believe Him, and he's my hero. He saved me, you know, and that's why it's connecting to life, and that's why I'm here today. So thank you.
Thank you. I want to tell you, it takes courage to say that the thing that's keeping you from connecting to life is God.
Yeah.
Because our psyche tells us that, you know, everybody's gonna look at me crazy because I said, oh, I have a hard time believing in God. But I want you to know, which I'm gonna share tonight, but I'm gonna share it now. So you'll hear it again, I'm sure. When I came into the program, I believed that there was a God. But He didn't want to have nothing to do with me. And with all the things that I had done, the way I was raised, if you just thought of something bad, you might as well get ready to go to hell. So way before I even took a drink or a drug, I had done a whole bunch of shit. So in my mind, I was already going to hell. And I wasn't taught that God loves me so much that if I just believe in Him, trust in Him, that I would not be going to hell and that I would be okay. And so when I got to the program, hell was my place. Hell was where I was going. And I don't believe that today. I really don't. And I did a lot of bad stuff. But I know one thing, that what I've done in the last 29 years in my sobriety, if it hadn't cleaned up that shit that I did back then I need to go to hell.
Yeah.
But that ain't gonna happen because I believe God loves me enough to let me live a life that feels like heaven on earth. And so I don't care where I go when it's all said and done. All right? Yes. Wow. Anyone else? Nobody else want to talk about? Well, thank you. Do you know what the question is? Yeah. Okay. Mike's not on? Okay.
Hello, my name is Daniel and I'm an addict.
Hi, Daniel.
Well, my childish ego always was preventing me to connecting to life because I couldn't accept life as it was.
Yes.
I was always a small child trying to change it and was pretty good at it also. And well, now I'm 37 years old and I lost everything. I lost the company and now I'm connected to life because I'm accepting it like it's coming. And it's not that nice every day, but it's connected. So that's what I wanted to share.
Thank you very much, both of you, and it was lovely listening. And I liked what you talked. I really liked what you talked about pride and ego and all this kind of stuff's always blocked me off from God. You know, my mother was a religious woman as well. She read us by herself, but she was very religious, and I was like what you talked about. I don't know where I picked up this conception of God, that God was just there to punish me. I don't know if it was somebody else's conception that was pressed upon me when I was a kid. I don't know where the idea actually came from, but I always thought that believing in God was like an enemy. It was like believing in the enemy. This person was gonna come and send me to hell and hurt me, and all the bad things that were happening in my life was all his fault. So I'm gonna just run a little bit more on self-will and be very self-sufficient. I learned to be very self-sufficient at a very, very young age. Rely on me. Don't ask anybody for help. Don't admit that you're wrong. Don't say that you're sorry. Don't believe in God. God is like Santa Claus. You know, that's what I thought. But when I come in and I started to recover and I went through the second step and I was able to lay aside my prejudice, all them old ideas that I had, even against organised religion. I'm Irish and organised religion is having an awful time over there at the moment, and some of the stuff that's going on with the church is really, really hard to see. But because I was able to choose my own conception of a God that was really, really loving and really understanding that I had come from this place of pain, that because I was so hurt, I went out and I spread that hurt on the world, and I hurt other people. And the truth be known, I hurt the people I loved the most. They were the ones I hurt the most, you know, because they were the ones around and they were the ones that had to witness it. And I had this experience, this spiritual experience, there's no other word for it, this defining spiritual experience where I felt God actually loved me, like what you talked about. I was loved, I was understood. There was something out there that I was able to connect with that actually understood me and was there for me. And like in the third step, would care for me, would care, take care of me. If I performed the work well, stayed close to him, everything that I have needed since I come into recovery has been provided for me. And that's my truth.
Thank you. Yes. Yes.
Bart, I'm an addict.
Hi, Bart.
I was thinking what's coming in for me, and I'm still struggling with that point, is keep an open mind, and it blocks me. What is happening? If something happening in my life, I always get my own truth and what I feel, but it detached me inside. But I try to work on keep an open mind for myself. What's the situation? What is someone else want to share to me? And I always know what is best for me and what is good for me. And I wasn't open for anyone else. And I need to surrender on that a lot. And that's what I'm practicing this year a lot. Not to control and accept someone else's opinion, feeling, doesn't matter what it is. So that's for me.
Well, we're running out of time, but I want to, because it's just an hour, right? Correct? Hour and a half? Oh, well, come on in. All right.
Your turn.
Yeah. All right. So, yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Pascal, and I'm an addict.
Yes. I don't care, baby. However you
Okay,
feel.
great. So it got me thinking because when I was still in active addiction, I always thought that it was my parents or it was my friends, it was my education, it was the way I was raised. But that's just my ego pointing fingers towards everything in my life except me. And when I got into recovery, I always thought that the thing that was between me and my recovery was God, because I didn't understand God. I didn't feel God, because I was God, you know, and I was never connected to myself until then. Now it got me thinking. The thing that's keeping me from my connecting to life, I first thought it was my ego. But with the 12 steps and God on my side, it's up to me how much I let my ego decide my life. I let my ego decide my life at the point I don't open up to God, pray to God, and then just trying to be connected towards God in a fellowship. And so I thought, well, if it is my ego, what is it then? And it's just step 10, 11, and 12, trying to be open, willingness. Being honest towards people, and then try to do the principles of this program day by day. And then if I don't wake up in the morning and I don't say to myself, well, trying to make the best of my day, if I'm not doing that, I'm not connecting.
Oh, yes. All right. Okay, so let me tell you, I have another question. So don't worry, I got you. The next question is, let me turn my page back though. I want to see something. There were several questions in that last one, but one of them was, where have you felt shame and tried to cover it up? What is it do you need to do to become enough? Because when we don't feel like we're enough and we're in shame and guilt and all of that, it's difficult to connect to life because I want to hide, I want to isolate, I don't feel like I fit in, and so I don't do what I would do in connecting. When I'm connected, I can fit in, whether you like me or not, right? I can show up for what I need to show up for. I don't feel that need to truly hide anymore. So the question is, what are you living with that is undone in your life? If you can state one defining moment that is keeping you, which we've just done, but is there something that is undone? Something that you know if you don't do this, it could hurt you in the long run. Don't be ashamed. Because I'm working on the 4th step right now and I don't want to do it. It's undone, right? So there's a lot of things that many times when I first got sober, I walked around the rooms pretending like I had this shit all together and all I had was a pile of shit. Right? I wanted you to think that I was doing what you were doing, when in actuality, I was just pretending. Yes.
I'm an addict. I just started thinking that I disqualified myself from life on numerous occasions. I thought I never will be married, I never will have a house, a mortgage, that kind of stuff. And that really kept me in myself. And just recently, I also had this thought, well, let's stop studying. You know, it's fine. I'm old enough just to settle down. And but it's partly based on fear. You know, I don't feel confident to take a study up again and continue in my life. So this is something I needed to change. You know, so I decided, okay, 2018 is a new start. I will go back to college, do a study, and see what happens. So I'm back in life now. Yay!
I want to, before I share that, No, next, yeah, I'm not gonna share. Come on.
Hi Esther, hi Anthony, thanks for your share. I was sitting there squirming when you were saying some of the things you were sharing about. I've been really, really blessed since I came into recovery, and I really understand that surrender doesn't just happen once, it happens continuously. And I feel part of my experience is like there's been layers of stuff that I've had to surrender to over time. And at the moment, the current thing I'm surrendering with, and the current thing that I have shame around, is around family of origin stuff. And it's like there's all these other, when I came in first and I got sober first, there was so much pain in my family home with my child that I had to deal with that, and I'd loads of stuff to box off, amends to make, and it's like God is peeling back all these layers of me, and now I'm back to the root of where the ego was built in the first place, where I felt hurt as a child, and I put on this mask and this warrior suit called ego to protect me because I felt vulnerable and shameful and not good enough. And anytime I have any issues in my sobriety, it always comes back to that inadequacy thing that I have deep in my heart, and I know God loves me, but sometimes I don't feel lovable in God's eyes, and it's funny when you were sharing there, I was thinking, maybe my God image is like my parental image, because I always had that with my father. I didn't feel good enough because it's the way he is, like the way he communicates. But for me at the moment, and I don't like saying it, it's that shame around family. And for me to accept my family as they are, my family of origin, I don't know how to. I actually don't know. So that's the beginning of my surrender. I don't know. And that's where I'm at. I don't know how to do it, but I'm trusting, because for me, that's what surrender looks like. That I say, God, I don't know. You have to show me, So that's it. Thanks. Thank you.
The one thing I will say about that is simple. There's pain in not letting go. The pain is in holding on, not in letting go. And so many times we hold on thinking, if I just I can't if I let it go, it's gonna hurt. It only hurts when you're holding on. It's like the monkey. There's cookies in this jar, and he sticks his hand in the jar, and he grabs the cookie. Well, he can't get his hand out, and so he won't let go of the cookie. So he's walking around with this jar, trying to get the cookie out, right? And so he's in pain now because his hand is stuck in this jar. And all he got to do is let go of the cookie so he can release his hand. And that's how we do. We hold on to the bitter end. That marriage is hitting the damn floor. It is going berserk. That relationship was so unhealthy when you got in it, and I'll be damn, it is not gonna get the best of me. And what has it done? Got the best of you or me. Let me speak for me. So, I don't know, do you?
No, go ahead.
You good?
Yeah, we're good.
Anybody else? Yeah, come on. That's my friend. What's your name?
I'm Frank.
What is it again?
Frank, I'm an addict.
Hey, Frank.
Hi. I don't know how to put this. My mom always nurtured me, and she saw my talents. But I thought it was never enough, so I didn't accept myself. And, to accept myself is the most difficult thing ever. Yeah. That's it.
Well, this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. I really prayed that this would make you think, because without acknowledging, the first step in anything that we need to do is to acknowledge that there's something there. And that's part of the surrender. That's part of the connection. If I don't surrender, I can't connect. If I don't acknowledge it, I can't connect. Again, I'm living in that fantasy world that we often lived in our disease. Everything was grandiose or, just amazing when I was high. Shoot, I came up with some great ideas under the influence, man. I figure out how I'm gonna replace that money I just spent, and when I come down, I don't know what I had. I didn't remember. But the truth is, until I came to the realization, Frank, that I don't know who I am, and I don't know how to feel connected even in myself, I couldn't do anything about it. I didn't even open the door for anything to be done. So just saying the words is a starting place to connecting. Anybody else? Connecting. What is it that's keeping you? What is undone in your life that's keeping you from connecting to life? And then you.
Hello, I'm Erik, I'm an addict. And yeah, it's a lot of stuff, especially with the family stuff. And then I start thinking to myself, and it really came up to me when you, that example with the monkey, with the joy, is that I really hated my family with a vengeance, like, because they were the fault of everything, my mother cheated, so she's the most terrible woman, every woman's like that. My dad's like me, he's an alcoholic, so, I'm especially angry at him. But the most important thing that I did is and then I came into the step 9 process, that of course my whole family was on it. And the things that I found out, of course, with them, they were very especially special. But with my family, like, and you said something earlier about, thinking a certain way and then acting a certain way so that it kind of happens. And that's luckily what I found out now is, because I became so isolated within myself, I still did lots of things, but was, imprisoned in here, that I started thinking my family hates me, because I'm the black sheep and I'm always trouble, and always was. So what am I doing at home with my best thinking is I'm thinking they hate me. So I started thinking that they hate me, so I started to hate them, and they started to respond to that. And the most beautiful thing I found out in the amends process is not one of them said to me that they hated me. They all said, you were just gone, you were always there. And then about the age 13, 14, you were just gone. We didn't know what. And to find that out, and it was like this kind of, how do you explain it, matrix moment, because I think everything I ever thought how it was in the past is wrong. All my thinking, and I don't know. And I'm gonna keep it short, but the most funniest thing is, like, I had really, to my mother and my father, but a real simple one with my father. He owed me 6,000 euros. And I was really angry with him. And then I was with my sponsor I had at the time. He said, okay, that's cool, the resentment. But like, how long do you live with him? And then I was 27. So I lived with him for 6 years. I said, did you ever pay money, like, for stuff? I said, no. I said, and you have a full-time job? I said, yeah. So he did a calculation thing, and that was way more than 6,000 euros. So he said, you owe him this. But that little simple thing, it went away. And I just want to end with this. For the first time, I'm now a 31-year-old man. And I think 3 weeks ago was the first time I can remember I told my parents that I love them, and I meant it. And it's strange having family, I'm still getting used to the being loved and feeling love. But it's better than I did it. My mother was really weird, because the first thing she texted me back is, are you feeling all right? But I can't explain it. But I found it funny. But the worst thing I found out is I asked her why. And she said, because I was thinking you were going to kill yourself. That was behind it. So the fear that how I was living, and I got nothing to be angry about more towards my family. And it's nice. I have this whole family I got in the fellowship. But the first time when I got in here, I kept it to that. So now it's nice that all the beautiful things I learn here and all you beautiful people, I can now apply it to them. And now I have so much family back in my life. I never thought that possible, And it's healing from the inside, and that's nice. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, they said if you stay sober long enough, your story will change, because it's probably nothing like what you thought it was. but it didn't change that much. So, anyway, the young lady you were going to come up? Yes.
Thank you for calling me young lady. I'm terrified to talk in English, but I'll try. The thing I'm holding on to is, like a grudge, and I think the thing I have to work on is forgive myself and forgive others. And that's what I try to do on a daily basis. And it's not easy, but I'm asking God for help. And every morning when I wake up and every evening, I try to think of positive things about people who hurted me and wish them all the best. And that really works for me. And also to myself, because when I was a small child, my mother told me, like, when there is a big war, it's not your fault. Because it was my opinion that when something went wrong, it was my fault. And now I try to take responsibility for what's my part in it, and let others take responsibility for what's their part. So, and that keeps it more overzichtelijk, how do you call it in English? I don't know. Oh, that's also good, honest. Yeah. Well, it keeps it more honest because I have my part, I take responsibility for that, and for the parts I cannot take responsibility, I leave them to others, and for the parts I need help, I ask for help, and that makes it more honest.
Yes. To thine own self.
Yeah, thanks very much for sharing. And it was nice listening to the last lady talking about honesty, you know, and it was nice listening to Ashton talking about the layers being peeled off as we go on and we go on, because there's always another surrender around the corner. There's always another one, you know. And when I first got sober, it was about the drugs and the drink, and then the money, and then the relationships, and there's always something else, you know. And as I go on now, and what I start to look at in myself that kind of blocks me off is all my old ideas about the way I grew up. I had to be a man. I wasn't allowed to cry. I wasn't allowed to say I was afraid. And even now, I will get a teared up emotion. I'll squeeze it back down, push it in, hold it in, just be a man, you know. And the biggest thing now I feel that's kind of blocking me off is that I have to learn to connect to my emotions. I have to learn to connect to who I am. If I am afraid, be afraid. If I'm sad, be sad. Don't always try and fix everything. Just try and be a human being, not a human doing, because I'm great at that. Because the minute anything comes in emotionally or anything like that, I want to fix it. I want to run. I ran my whole life on two emotions, fight or flight. If you said something that I didn't like, I would either argue with you or I would run away from you. And in recovery now, is starting to be revealed. This is what you have to do. This is the next surrender. I don't want it to come, but it's coming, you know. So thanks very much.
Thank you. Yes. Okay. So what is the meaning of life? Well, one of my favorite quotes by Socrates is that the unexamined life is not worth living for a human being. And that's what we do. We examine our lives. Right? And so in my attempt to come up with a firm definition of life, I found this is a question that when attempted to answer brings up more questions. But I discovered something that I believe puts in a perspective for me, and I pray it does the same for you. The challenge, it seems, is that our daily affairs in the world of people, places, and things tend to distract our attention from the simple fact that we are one with the stream of life. The practice is to remember that our lives are easier and more joy-filled when we are consciously connected to Source. Living mindfully, being one with the stream of life, may not instantly change the obstacles that lie before us in any given moment, but it will lift us to a new perspective wherein we are able to see the obstacle through new eyes. This is the first step to transcending, surpass, succeed that, to pass the rocks of our life. Y'all got that? The rocks. Okay. This is the first step to pass the rocks of our lives. Oftentimes, when we cease seeing the obstacles that lie before us as problems, the stream of life transforms them into non-problems as it carries us past them. So, if you have a desire to truly connect to life, you must commit to connecting to a power greater than yourself. I choose to call that power God. He is the strength needed to experience the psychic change we need to live a life on life's terms. As God's people, we stand on our feet. We don't crawl before anyone. And so when we're crawling, we're no longer connected to life. We're no longer the human beings that we strive to be. So if you're painstaking about this phase of our development, we will be amazed before we are halfway through. We're going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. We will not regret the past, nor wish to shut the door on it. We will comprehend the word serenity, and we will know peace. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. That feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. We will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. Self-seeking will slip away. Our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Fear of people and of economic insecurity will leave us. We will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. We will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. Are these extravagant promises? They are being fulfilled among us, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. They will always materialize if we work for them. Thank you so much for sharing.
Okay, I'm here, I'm still an addict.
Hi, Ian.
Right, this is the end of the meeting. If you have any additional questions or comments, please speak with Esther or Anthony, and thank you very much, the pair of you. Or someone with a blue badge after the closing. I have asked young Eric, I think, yes, Eric, to read a vision for you. Come and read for us, Eric.
I'm Erik, I'm an addict.
Hi, Eric.
A vision for you. Our book is meant to be suggestive only. We realize we know only little. God will constantly disclose more to you and to us. Ask Him in your morning meditation what you can do each day for the man who is still sick. The answers will come if your own house is in order. But obviously you cannot transmit something you haven't got. See to it that your relationship with Him is right, and great events will come to pass for you and countless others. This is the great fact for us. Abandon yourself to God as you understand God. Admit your faults to Him and to your fellows. Clear away the wreckage of your past. Give freely of what you find and join us. We shall be with you in the fellowship of the Spirit, and you will surely meet some of us as you trudge the road of happy destiny. May God bless you and keep you. Until then.
Right, if you'd like to join me in the serenity prayer. If we hold on to each other strongly, we for a circle of fellowship.
Something about the connection? I'm not sure. It's going to be another Easter egg again.
I don't know.
I like that. All right.
Hey.
Right, I'm back. Are we all connected? Okay, if we hold on to each other strongly, we for a circle of fellowship, experience that we can't and don't have to do this alone anymore. We use the word God, but everyone is free to give the meaning to that as he or she pleases, like the power of a fellowship of men and women who can do together what they cannot do alone. Who's driving the bus? God. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Thank you.
Keep them back.